Have you ever noticed how life surprises us with small details that seem unimportant, but can change everything? For a long time, I also believed that forgetting names, appointments, or even the reason for entering a room was just something natural that comes with age. Until one day, I heard a story that made me stop and think. It was about an 82-year-old woman who suddenly began to recover old memories with impressive clarity. Everyone thought she was doomed to forgetfulness, but something happened that changed the course of her life. And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about today. No, this is not about expensive medicines, nor about miraculous formulas that promise the impossible. What she discovered was a practice of only 60 seconds a day, something so simple that anyone can do it while sitting on a chair, inside their own home. But before I reveal the details, I need you to imagine yourself in a situation. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went there? Have you ever stood still trying to remember the name of someone you've known for years? Or felt that strange sensation that the word is on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't bring it out? These lapses are not mere distractions. They are silent warnings. Small signs that the brain is crying for help, because certain internal connections are becoming weak due to lack of stimulation. And what begins like this, with almost imperceptible details, can grow and turn into something much bigger. That's why you need to pay attention, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you a routine of 5 simple movements that has already helped men and women over 70, 80, and even 90 years old think more clearly than many adults in their 30s. The story of that 82-year-old woman I mentioned did not end there. What caught the doctor's attention the most was that, before recovering old memories, she began to walk with more firmness. It seemed strange. How could something related to memory begin with the feet? That was when the researchers realized the connection. The brain is like a city illuminated at night. Each lit area represents an active function: memory, balance, concentration, speech. But some streets in that city gradually go dark over time, and that is when forgetfulness begins. The good news is that all it takes is to light those areas again, and it can begin from an unexpected place: the toes. You may be asking yourself, what do the feet have to do with memory? The answer is simple and surprising. The toes are directly connected to the cerebellum, one of the most important regions of the brain, responsible for balance and coordination. When this area is activated, not only does the body become steadier, but the connections of attention and memory also grow stronger. And that is exactly what she did. Every day, early in the morning, sitting on a simple chair, she would slowly lift her toes, hold them for a few seconds, and then press them against the floor. Then, she would make opening and closing movements, as if awakening sleeping muscles. 30 seconds of this simple ritual were enough for something to start changing. Research has shown that elderly people who repeat this exercise daily not only reduce the risk of falls but also report greater mental clarity and more energy for simple activities such as talking, reading, or focusing on tasks. It is as if this small gesture were a switch capable of reactivating forgotten connections. And here is the most curious detail. The more you practice, the faster the brain responds. As if each movement were a reminder to the body that there is still energy, vitality, and strength waiting to be used. But this is only the first step. The second secret is even more powerful because it acts directly on what most nourishes the brain: blood and oxygen. After a few weeks practicing the foot exercise, that woman noticed that she no longer lost her balance as much when getting up from the chair. But there was still something that bothered her: a feeling of a slow mind, as if her thoughts took too long to organize themselves. And here comes the second secret, which has to do with the flow of blood and oxygen to the brain. Few people know that the brain, despite representing only 2% of body weight, consumes about 20% of all the oxygen we breathe. This means that any reduction in this circulation immediately affects mental clarity, memory, and even mood. That was when the doctors realized that the tension in her neck was harming this vital flow. Imagine a garden hose that is bent. The water continues trying to pass through, but it only comes out in thin streams. That is exactly what happens when the neck muscles become stiff due to poor posture, stress, or simply everyday habits. The solution: a movement as simple as it is powerful. Sitting in her chair, she began to slowly turn her head to one side, then to the other, as if peeking at the horizon. Then, she gently lifted her chin toward the ceiling and finally lowered her face until her chin touched her chest. This path-opening movement allowed the blood to circulate freely again. The results were almost immediate. She reported fewer dizzy spells, fewer headaches, and most importantly, a more alert mind. It was as if someone had opened the curtains of a dark room, letting the sunlight in. This exercise requires no effort, no equipment, only awareness. And each time you repeat it, it is as if you are watering a plant that had begun to wither. The brain blossoms again, gaining energy and clarity. But it doesn't stop there. The third secret of the routine is even more surprising because it involves a part of the body that we rarely associate with memory: the tongue. No one could have imagined it, but it was precisely by training one of the most agile muscles in the body that this woman began to feel even deeper changes in her memory. I'm talking about the tongue. At first glance, it may seem strange. What does the tongue have to do with memory and mental clarity? But the truth is that it is filled with nerve endings that connect to crucial areas of the brain, the same ones responsible for speech, the organization of thoughts, and the retrieval of words and names. That was when the doctors taught her a simple exercise. Sit comfortably, keep your spine straight and your mouth slightly open. Then, extend your tongue outward as far as you can and hold it for a few seconds. Next, move it to the right, as if you were going to touch the inside of your cheek, and hold it again. Repeat to the left. Then press your tongue against the roof of your mouth, alternating between tension and relaxation. Finally, make circles with your tongue inside your mouth, first in one direction, then in the other. This sequence lasts less than a minute, but the effects are surprising. She reported that after a few days of practice, words came faster, she remembered the names of loved ones with ease, and even entire sentences seemed to emerge effortlessly. It was as if she had unlocked a door that had been stuck. And there is something even more fascinating. This movement not only activates speech but also stimulates mental agility. People who often froze when trying to express themselves noticed significant improvement. All because the tongue, when consciously exercised, sends direct signals to brain areas that had been dormant. But it wasn't only the tongue that brought surprising results. The next secret involves an organ that many consider responsible only for hearing, but that holds powerful connections to balance and even to mental clarity: the ears. It was when the specialists taught her the final step that the transformation became complete. People were surprised to discover that the ears are not only responsible for hearing but also house structures that control balance, spatial orientation, and even the state of mental alertness. Inside them lies the vestibular system, which sends information directly to the brain about every movement and position of the body. And that is why correctly stimulating the ears can switch back on brain areas that had gone dark. The exercise is simple but powerful. Sit in a relaxed position, hold your ears with your hands and, first, gently pull them upward, holding for a few seconds. Then, pull them gently to the sides and afterward down. To finish, make small circular movements around the whole ear, like a light massage. In less than 30 seconds, you can feel the area warming up, the face relaxing, and the mind becoming clearer. People who practiced this habit daily reported not only greater balance when walking but also less dizziness, more concentration, and a feeling of lightness in the mind, as if a fog had lifted. And here is the most fascinating detail. When you combine the stimulation of the feet, neck, tongue, and ears into a single 1-minute sequence, different areas of the brain begin to communicate with each other. It is as if loose wires were reconnected, forming a stronger and more active network. This was exactly what moved that 82-year-old woman to tears when she recounted that she was once again able to remember the old phone number of her best friend, something she had already considered impossible. This simple routine gave her back not only her memory but also confidence and independence. And now that you know each part of this method, only one choice remains. Will you continue to believe that memory loss is inevitable, or will you give these 60 seconds a chance to restore clarity and vitality to your mind? If this content made sense to you, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave in the comments if you have ever noticed any signs of weak memory. Your experience may inspire others to take the first step. Because in the end, taking care of the mind is not a luxury, it is freedom.